if you retain well, what that means is you dip in your client relationships, so you increase the lifetime value of your existing client base, so you have more revenue coming from them. Two, you get better reviews that we talked about. And what that then means is you can then use that as justification for increasing your prices. So you're no longer worried that, oh, why am I charging next more than my next door competitor? But you're like, no, because me and that competitor are not on the same level. We do 5-star work. They do, I don't know, but 5-star
I
work
do
over here.
2-star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number three, you get more warmer leads coming through because you can get your existing client base to refer new customers to
Yeah.
you that usually are better qualified and tend to hang around longer.
I'm Mike Harris and I help businesses to successfully grow their turnover and profit. In the last year alone, I have helped dozens of businesses at least double in size. And I work with small, medium and large businesses, including startups and multinationals. Essential to scaling your business is keeping your customers. Did you know that it costs 5 times more to get a new customer than retaining existing one? Existing customers on average spend 67% more than new customers, and they are 50% more likely to buy new products. And yet many business owners and directors I meet are focused on getting new customers, assuming existing are already in the bag. But in order to scale your business, you need both. And therefore, to tackle this important subject and to give you free advice on effective customer retention, I am joined by a very special guest. Hello and welcome back to the Leaders and Strategy podcast. And today we're going to look at the really important subject, key to scaling up any business, which is customer management. And to do that, I'm joined by a very special guest, the LinkedIn Queen, business leader, client retention expert and coach, Yemi Olshan. Hello, Yemi. Welcome.
Hello,
Join
Mike.
us.
Thank you for having me.
That's okay.
LinkedIn Queen. Thank
We'll
you.
come back to that. We'll come back to why I think you're the LinkedIn Queen a bit later. Okay, so coming back to the Change Hive, which I think is really, really fascinating. Could you talk us a little bit more about the importance of client retention? And why you think it makes such a big difference to businesses to get that kind of mindset in how they go about their sales and their sales pipeline, etc.
Sure. So it's something that, so we initially started off just doing like business transformation and helping businesses with growth, full stop. But then when you think about it, there's only really 3 ways to grow your business, right? You either grow by getting new customers, so acquisition, or you can grow by becoming more niche, so increasing your prices and serving a certain pool of clients, at the same time keeping your cost, low. Or number 3, you can grow by selling more to your existing client base. And we're kind of doing all 3, but then on realization, I was like, hey, hold on. Of all those 3, if you had to pick one, the most optimal of all really is client retention. Because if you do client retention well, you actually hit all 3. Because if you retain well, what that means is you dip in your client relationships, so you increase the lifetime value of your existing client base, so you have more revenue coming from them. 2, you get better reviews that we talked about. And what that then means is you can then use that as justification for increasing your prices. So you're no longer worried that, oh, why am I charging next more than my next door competitor? But you're like, no, because me and that competitor are not on the same level. We do 5-star work. They do, I don't know, but 5-star work
I do
over here.
2-star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And number 3, you get more warmer leads coming through because you can get your existing client base to refer new customers to you
Yeah.
that usually are better qualified and tend to hang around longer. So it was that realization that made me say, hey, hold on. I don't think we're giving retention the focus that it deserves.
Yeah.
I think all the noise is around, or the focus is around acquisition. And there's good reason for that, right? Because it's sexier, right? It's like to kind of say, oh, I got 10,000 new clients today, right? And then also most of the advertising profits are made off the back of running ads and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So there's big machines that support acquisition. But in this current business environment that we're in, with all the AI automation, nobody even knows what's real and what's not real. There's so much noise coming at people. It's actually harder to acquire new customers. I don't think anybody's talking about how hard it is to do acquisitions these days because ads and people are kind of getting blind to ads, right? It's like there's so many ads left,
Yeah.
right, and center. You're getting all this cold DMs coming at you. It's like there's a lot. But if you instead of focusing on new, if you're an existing business already had like a good enough client base, if you double down on your relationship with them and think about things like, hey, hold on, are we doing the 5 Rs as we try to tell our clients to do? Are we building a service? Because we tend to work with service-based businesses, not so
Yeah.
much product-based
Yeah. Yeah.
businesses. Are we building a service that has a clear roadmap? Because for many people, the retention problem starts from when the client pays, right? It's
Yeah.
like, I've paid, because you have to think about it from a human perspective. Buyer's remorse starts to kick in, right? All the chatter starts. It's like, oh my God, like I just gave somebody thousands of pounds, like really, like I could have used AI for that,
Yeah.
and then they make the mistake of telling their wife or their neighbor, and it's like, you dummy, you could have done. So they're already having that chat. It's like, but you can kill that noise quick by having a clear onboarding roadmap, right? It's like, how can
Yeah.
you tighten the roadmap? How can you make it clear that the client knows exactly what's going to happen and when, and also
Yeah.
ideally give them the first value within the first 14 days max, right? So it's we work with them to clean up their roadmap, their onboarding roadmap, and their time to value
Yeah.
roadmap, like make
Okay.
that tighter. Secondly, how can you build proper routines around your service? Because again, when you have so many clients, you actually forget some of them. And what that means is people pay you for stuff and they're not really getting the value from your service because they forget to use it, right? So they're
Yeah.
paying you and they're not building routines around it. And you only remember when it comes to renewal times, like, oh my God, yeah, I need to go ask for the next check, but you
Yeah.
didn't, but they haven't used my service. But if you're more proactive about building routines around your service, then it makes the renewal conversation easier, right?
Yeah.
You're not like, oh, I'm not sure how to ask for the renewal. Third, proactively thinking around things like revenue expansion opportunities. Like, so we're doing this together. Like now I'm working with you. As we said earlier to your core, which I really love,
Yeah.
when you solve one problem, it creates other
Yeah.
problems. So
Yeah.
what other problems have now been created
Yeah.
that you could possibly help them
Yeah.
solving, right? So whether it's cross sells, upsells. Four, the reviews that we talked about, social proof being
Yeah.
important. And the fifth one being around proactively checking the client health, right? Because I think
Yeah.
too often rescue, we are not using our CRM in a way that we're tracking to see, hey, is this client behavior a bit off? Like, are they like not as they used to read my newsletters, but they're not reading it anymore? They used to
Yeah.
like my YouTube, but haven't seen them for a while. Like, are you kind of noticing any kind of like signs that this guy is kind of
Yeah.
offbeat?
Yeah.
Can you catch that early and proactively correct it before they churn?
So the 5 Rs.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fascinating. And I mentioned earlier, I'm going to digress for a second. I mentioned earlier and called you the LinkedIn Queen, which you laughed at. But I'm just going to point out there's a good reason for this. So I follow Yemi on LinkedIn, and you're right, you get bombarded with loads of stuff on there. But I really enjoy and like your posts, and I mean
Thank
this
you.
genuinely.
Me so
I
much.
learn
Thank you.
so much from what you say, and quite often it kind of strikes an accord with what I believe anyway, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about in a moment. But it just puts it differently in a different context, and it acts as a reminder. I think, yeah, I know this, but I'm not doing it. Why am I not doing it? I think it's great. And if you're not following, you should do,
Oh,
and
thank you.
they'll get a lot out of it. I think
Thank you.
by watching
Means a lot.
or reading rather your post. But yeah, so some of the things you said there earlier. I mean, one thing about just going for new, for me anyway, just going for new customers all the time. You're a transactional business because you're basically a single order, aren't you? A single order transaction, then you're going for the next one. And most businesses, I think, are more profitable and are certainly more enjoyable if you move it from being transactional to actually having a relationship with the clients, and it becomes more collaborative.
Absolutely.
So I don't see how you can do that if all you're doing is, I mean, you use a different phrase to me, so you call them acquisitions for new clients.
Mm-mm.
So that constant looking for new clients, you're transactional, and I think you'll always be pitching at a lower level for that. So that's the first thing. Second thing is you can reduce your overhead, because if you've got a huge cost in getting in lots of new customers, if you're focusing around 4 or 5 customers, you don't need to spend that. You can spend it actually within the business and develop. So I think it saves your overhead. Um, but the other thing that I think is really critical, which is you talk about client retention, I call it repeat business. Same thing.
Okay.
Every business should be looking at repeat business. They should be making sure that, if they're doing it right and the client's happy, they will come back. So therefore, if you're focusing on lots of people, it's so much harder to really give them a good service to get that repeat business.
Absolutely.
And actually, in some businesses, only need 2 or 3 clients, and that repeat business is constantly coming in. And but they know those customers inside out, back to front, and they get a real service out of them. So I think what you're talking about is the difference between companies that are transactional and are really just looking at cost, and businesses that are sort of partnering and collaborative, which are really focused on providing value. And I think there's this huge difference. And I think the world, the world that you're in and what you look at is talking about that latter. So that client retention for me is all, sits in that. And as I say, I think that makes businesses more profitable, and
100%.
certainly makes it more fun, I think, with what you're doing.
Absolutely. I agree. And one more thing, I think you touched on it, right, is all of this builds up to if you ever decide to sell your business,
Yeah,
what people are buying is the repeatability and the
yeah,
profitability. And the way you can build repeatability and profitability is to have that recurring. So it's what's your net retention rate,
yeah,
right? Month on month basis becomes the number that drives
yeah,
how valuable or what
yeah.
the valuation
Well,
of the
you're right,
business
because
is.
I one of my KPIs that I track around the business is 80% repeat business.
That's really
So
good.
I don't want 100% repeat business, because I'll never be getting any new clients in. So I think that's a good mix of 20% comes in new, 80% is retained. So
Yeah.
um, so I think I think that's important.
This episode is sponsored by Strategist Consulting, expert business and leadership consultancy for everyday businesses and professionals. What if the key to your business's next growth phase isn't a mystery, but a proven process? Is your business at the ceiling, with profits flat, daily chaos, and scaling up feeling like a risky leap? You're not alone, and you don't have to solve it alone. Strategist Consulting is your partner for structured, transformative growth. Led by Mike Harris, a proven strategist and project manager with expertise in scaling businesses, bid management, and delivering results, we provide clarity through our core service, the Business Review Workshop. This isn't just advice, it's a deep dive analysis that delivers a clear, actionable roadmap. We identify your bottlenecks, uncover hidden opportunities, and give you the precise steps to move from stuck to strategic execution. Visit www.strategistconsulting.co.uk now and transform your business trajectory.
One of the things you I use the phrase a lot about the sales pipeline, and you used the pipeline or the funnel earlier, but you use a phrase that I've never come across before, which I love, which is talking about the leaky sales pipeline. So, and you've got to go and block the leaks. So just talk us a little bit through what you mean by the leaky or the leaking pipeline.
Yeah, sure. So the basic premise is that many businesses, especially those that have been around for like 10 plus years, don't actually need more new leads. They need to fix the leaks in their business. Because here's why. Um, Many times we spend all this time doing all this new ad campaigns and stuff, and we get all these leads come through. And usually we send them like one or two lead nurturing campaigns and we forget about them. And we then move on to the next campaign.
Yeah,
You got hundreds, you got thousands of people potentially that you probably hit once or twice and you forgot about now. And now you're going to start a whole new ad machine
yeah,
running and you forgot those guys. Or you've got customers that you've already served, pretty well, say once or twice. Again, because you didn't nurture them as well, they've now moved on to other things. You haven't gone back to try and reacquire them or bring them back into your world. So at 2 points, potentially, even before running any ads, you already have a gold mine that you're sat on. You've got the lead nurturing that you could do a better job of, and you also got the past customer re-engagement that you could do a better
yeah,
job of just to get you new business through the
yeah,
pipe. We haven't even yet come yet to building a deeper relationship with your existing customer base and seeing what else
yeah,
you can sell them, like what can you upsell or cross sell. So you're already sitting on a gold mine in three ways. That if we could fix that, usually you probably will realize that you don't have to do still run ads, because to your point, you
yeah,
want to make sure you still kind of are out there and people are seeing and recognizing the brand and know that you're around. But if you fix the leaks properly, you find that 80% of your profit will come from within your
yeah.
existing pipeline,
Yeah,
not new
so I,
business.
I hope you don't mind, but I actually used that phrase recently with a customer, and it was
Yeah.
exactly what you were talking about, really. So the context was I was talking to them about growing their business, and they were saying, well, to grow the business, then we need to get more tenders in, we need to get more inquiries in, because if we want to be 20% more, we need to get 20% more work, so we need to get more people out there talking to clients, shaking that tree to get more inquiries in. And I said, what's your win ratio on the tenders that you're doing at the moment? Oh, about 1 in 6. Well, why don't you get that to 1 in 4 then? Why go and get more clients? Why not put more focus around, or more tenders rather? Why not put focus around the tenders you are getting, and get those better and improve them? Because you go out and get a lot more a lot more tenders coming in, you're still going to be losing 5 out of 6 of them.
Yeah.
So why not focus on them coming in and secure 2 out of 6 instead of, say, 1 in 3? That way you don't need to go and put more resource and get them.
Or even go back to the ones you've lost historically. Because the thing is, even though it shows one person, you find out after a year or two, maybe something has kind of gone off, and it's like,
Yeah.
like, hey, just checking in to see how the project is going. Just,
get the feedback, find out.
Yeah. And every 6 months or so, just touch in and see,
But I used your phrase. I
Yeah.
said you don't need more water coming into the pipe if it's leaking out. Fix the leaks, which is improve your tenders.
Yeah.
Then you can go out and start trying to get more inquiries in again. So yeah, I think that's a great phrase, and
Thank you.
so, as I say, I've stolen it with pride.
Still away.
So you spoke earlier about your background, sort of fintech and that technological background. How do you think that transfers into other types of industries and other types of businesses?
Pretty well, actually, because I feel like, so I started off, computer science undergrad, masters, then started off doing like tech transformation at big investment banks. So like doing like JP Morgan, Barclays, and then did the fancy MBA at LBS, because my parents are entrepreneurs. I've kind of come from this long line of entrepreneurship, always wanted to do it, but just could not for the life of me work out how my fancy investment banking skills was relevant to any small business. Like, who cares that I know what bonds do and how CDSs work, credit default swaps, CDS, how they work.
I'm nodding as if I know what they are.
Who cares? I know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Exactly, as you should. But then it dawned on me that this is, I think, where the pandemic and all the slowdown kind of helped a lot. Because on reflection, this is why part of why game retention helps. Because I think, especially when you run a small business, you really need that headspace to think and to really like process them constantly anyway. But I digress. So on reflection, I realized that, hey, hold on, what I've been doing for these big businesses is actually called transformation or digital transformation, whatever. But really, what we do, or what I'm doing, is mapping out processes from front to back. So what's the as is process, seeing what the excess fat is, like, so where are we not very efficient, where can we optimize things and make things sharper so that we can grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that we can grow, or so that we can enter a new market, so that we can, whatever. So ultimately, all that was to help us grow. So my baseline skill set was growth and go-to-market consultant. But that took a whole lot of like thinking through. But I think now it's such a blessing because I approach growth not from a perspective of a marketer, but it's more from someone that has systems thinking as a background. Like, so let's go back to the component parts. Like, let's literally look at the machine. How is the machine working front to back? Let's map it all out and make sure we're building on the right foundation. And really cutting out all those inefficiencies. And this is why I think retention, again, sorry, I feel like I'm this retention evangelist.
Well, that's why you're here.
I think this is why it's important, right? Because it starts to show you the leaks really, really fast. Because like the thing is, if you find that your clients are not coming back, is why they're not coming back. Like, what is the missing puzzle? It could be that your positioning is not quite right, or that needs some shifting, or you're working with the wrong segment. So without really, I find that if you fix retention and you can fix that really well, all other parts of the business starts to like falls into place like a lot quicker. So anyway, to answer your question, tech really does help because it gets you back into like systems thinking, like, no, let's component parts, build it all up and then see how
so we spoke before we started, and I talked about the identity. And I think that's a great example of the identity of your business.
Yeah.
And you started thinking it was this, but actually the real identity is the skill sets you have to help people sort of kickstart the businesses and then grow them and scale them up. And that's I think it's quite a different identity to the business to maybe what you thought it was when you started, hence the why you were struggling. One of the you mentioned the funnels and the client journeys, and you have a phrase that you use. I think it was on LinkedIn quick, but it might have been on your website, where you talk about the funnels are about brand first, but the customer journeys are about buyer first. And again, I thought that was really nicely put. So I don't know if you want to expand a little bit by sort of the thinking that sits behind that.
Yeah, sure. I like funnels. I think ClickFunnels and that whole funnel community has done a good job of waking us up to the idea that buying is a process. Like, it's not just you have a conversation and they say yes or no and it's like, okay, goodbye. It's
Yeah,
knowing that, hey, there's a process to it. You kind of need to hit them a few times, hopefully with value each time.
yeah,
But I think sometimes when we think about funnel, um, it's very brand first. It's very much I want to push people through my funnels. Like, how can I get all these guys to be attracted to my funnel and push them down it? It's like, so it feels, we then get into the mindset of manipulation, coercion, like not always because it's sinister, or it's
no,
just
no,
because
no,
it's just the conditioning of
yeah,
how I think, at least I get into when I think funnel. But if you think of the customer, of the relationship as more of a journey, I think it's more collaborative. It's
yeah,
more, hey, listen, I would like to attract these types of people. What do I need to offer in exchange for them to be attract, like a gardener?
yeah,
What kind of plants or flowers do I need to plant to attract certain kinds of birds or
yeah,
insects or bees, right? It's
yeah,
like, you know, same thing with your business. So I want to attract this type of a buyer. What kind of lead magnets or things do I have to put out there so I can attract those
yeah,
people? When they do come into my world, of course, again, to buying being a journey and a process, how can I build this relationship and build the know like trust? You still want it to be fast, right? In the fastest possible time, but in a way that feels good both ways. Because
yeah,
again, if you think funnel, usually buyer's remorse is highest in that kind of journey, right? Because you're forcing them through the funnel. But if it's more of a journey, it's like, hey, listen, I want to attract you into my world, brand awareness. I want to then nurture you because I want to make sure you get to know me, like me, trust me, and know that I'm the best person for this job. So you're choosing to work with me. I haven't
yeah,
forced you to work with me. I
yeah,
don't want no kind of crazy cashbacks and customer drama. So let's build that relationship quickly, right? And then once we've done that, then how do we then go about the actual sales process? Like, what kind of, how do I sell? Like, is there a defined process to it? Like, are we doing spin or what's that, challenger, whatever
yeah, yeah,
so what's that process? And then fourth, how do I make sure that I then deliver on what I said I was going to deliver to you, to a point about building the roadmap, right? So
yeah,
have I communicated very clearly to you what to expect and when? I'm also giving you value in the fastest possible time so you don't get into like remorse mode and people don't start telling you, the chatter doesn't start
yeah,
happening, right? And how am I making sure that I'm proactively retaining you in my world and keeping you engaged in what is happening? And finally, how am I tracking through your health to make sure, so I think we think about it in terms of journey. It feels more, I want to give you value. And as long as you're finding value in this process, we keep working together. If
yeah,
at any point you don't find value, no problem. You can
yeah,
jump off the
yeah,
bus, and maybe when the bus comes back round again, you can get on again,
yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
like people kind of come in and out, right?
absolutely, yeah,
But funnel is kind of like, I'm gonna push you down. So like whether you want this or
yeah,
not, that's how I see it. And that's why I think I feel like longevity, especially like with all the automation, like the brands that will do well with all the AI stuff are the ones that are human first and very relationship focused. Not just automation,
and to
automation.
take
So
that same exactly the same thinking, but from the other angle, if all you're doing is pushing the brand, all you're ever going to do is get the funnel building up. But as soon as you start looking at the customer, the buyer,
mhm,
that's when you start, I think, getting the repeat business because you're actually interested in the person and what's important to them and why they buy things and why they come back.
exactly.
And so therefore I think it is, you're looking at it funnel and you're looking at it at the journey. But if you flip it the other way and say look at it from a brand or you look at the customer, it's the same, you come to the same conclusion, I think. It's exactly the same thing. You become transactional if you're not looking at the people that you're dealing with.
Exactly.
You've probably covered this already when we were talking about the leaking funnel, but I'll ask the question slightly differently. What do you think are the 3 biggest challenges that businesses face with regards to client retention?
I think first one is not being clear on the offer. It starts really, really earlier on. It's
Yeah,
like not clear on the offer. So it's there's a lot of different things that we offer. It's like we're
yeah,
trying to be everything to everybody. Like, who are you? What do you want? We can
yeah,
do anything you want. Um, Second is not being clear on who the segment is as well, because I think sometimes, too often, actually, I see this is you have a client that's trying to talk to 4 different client groups at the same time. So someone's saying to me, "Oh, I want to talk to lawyers, to startup founders, to," it's like different, slightly different. I'm like, it's like speaking 4 languages at the same time. It's a lot of work.
yeah.
You say
I
one
can't
thing.
even do one.
After a while, you get a headache, they're confused, they're not
Yeah,
sure what you're saying anymore. It's too many,
yeah, I made that mistake.
conversations.
Yeah,
So it's being clear on, I think, maximum 2 ICPs or ideal customer profiles that you want to target is important. Um, and I'll add a third one because you asked me for 3. I think sometimes it's making sure your ideal customer is actually profitable.
yeah, yeah,
Right. So it's, and I think I've posted something around this. So it's moving from ideal customer profile to more ideal profitable
yeah.
clients. So it's
Well, it's funny. I mean, I used to talk a lot about the important. I mean, before I set up the company, but I used to talk a lot about repeat business, and then it's only dawned on me I had to be talking about profitable repeat business. It's easy to go and get repeat business. It's not necessarily easy to go and get profitable repeat business, and I think there's it might be a subtle difference, but a huge difference in mindset around what you do to get profitable repeat business. So you're right. It's your profitable ideal customer profile.
not just ideal because
Yeah,
you may like them because they're fun, but if they
yeah.
don't pay you, then maybe they're
No,
not your
no, exactly
people.
right. Yeah, interesting.
Now, for ongoing support, join our new Patreon community. Subscribe for exclusive content from the Leaders in Strategy podcast, downloadable resources like our annual business plan checklist, and access to a full business course. As a member, you'll get discounted rates on one-to-one workshops, the chance to have your business questions answered, and featured in special monthly podcast episodes. Let's strategize and let's execute. Join our Patreon now and become a leader in strategy yourself.
I think that's us for today. We've covered a lot of things, so thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I always
Having
like
me.
to set some homework for our viewers and listeners. So as you're here with us today, I thought perhaps you might like to set the homework for us. So
I think we did that already, right? So we talked about the values. So really going back to the values
yeah,
again and being clear on why you're in business, what you want out of it. Um, and then off the back of that, maybe think about the goals for your bit, because I think every business needs to have at least 2 goals, right? So one for cash flow, one for
yeah,
compounding
yeah,
growth, right? So do you have a clear goal or strategy for how you're going to get cash flow, like immediate short term, 3 months kind of thing, and then long term, how you're going to make sure it compounds on
yeah,
each other. And then the third one being around things like really sitting down to map out that customer journey. We talked about the 6 steps. So
yeah.
across the 6 steps, what does it currently look like for you? Right?
Yeah,
We're not looking for
and I
perfection.
think that last one is a brilliant one because I don't do that. I mean, I'm sitting here listening to you today, and I'm thinking, "Blimey, I don't do any of this. I'm actually doing this," and it's great because actually that customer journey bit is really important. And yeah, so great bit of homework for everybody to take that and the goals, etc. And because it'll help you to go back and just reassess what you're doing in the business and just that's take a step back and think about it. So
I agree, and it shows you where to focus, right? Because if you can see, for example, you don't have as many leads or as many people to nurture, um, it shows you that in the next few months,
got to run out
things
of
are going to
work.
quite exactly.
Got to
Yeah,
run out of work, run out of cash.
so it's a
Yeah,
that needs some focus,
exactly
right?
right. Yeah,
And you're no longer guessing because, yes, of course, if you've done it for a long time, your gut intuition is pretty spot on
yeah,
usually. But if you have it laid out on a dashboard, it means that you're more not data driven, data informed
informed. Yeah,
with how you're
exactly.
making decisions.
Yeah,
And better still, you can now delegate a lot of stuff because you can now start to have a manager to say, hey, here's how I make decisions,
yeah,
right? These are the things I'm looking at to make it. Because even though it's gut, there are there's data that has come in somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? That's informed the gut intuition.
And if you've got gut instinct, it's because you've got knowledge from the past that you're applying.
Yeah.
Other people haven't got that knowledge yet, can't go on the gut. They need the actual information in front of them. So
Exactly. Then it makes it easy to then scale and build that. And then finally, if you really need help with retention, I think a good starting point is that scorecard on the website, or you can go to thechangehive.co /
we'll stick all of
the
that.
scorecard.
We'll stick that on, in the comments.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
put it up on somewhere up here.
Yeah.
It should
be subscribe here. Do this.
Yeah.
It should be all like
it should be all of that.
Like click here to
subscribe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's more videos.
Not enough hard sell. I'm not enough hard sell.
Love it.
Okay. And just a quick reminder of where you can find us. You can watch us on the Leaders in Strategy YouTube channel, listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Podbean and Podchaser. And of course, we upload every episode onto my LinkedIn page and also onto the Strategist Consulting website. All right, well, thank you for joining us. Hopefully that's been useful. The importance of retaining customers. Thank you again for joining us today, Yemi. It's been really good fun, and hopefully you'll come back and join us again soon.
Thank you. Yes, I'd love to.
And we'll talk about cash collection or something like that. That's equally as important. So that's it. See you soon.
Thank you.